Why hello and welcome back to another episode of Voice of the Rings. I am your hosting guide, Zollin Ironshield, and today I want to do a little quick guide video on war mounts and something that me and a few of my subscribers were talking about, and something that a lot of people get wrong and do wrong with war mounts, okay? So that's what I'm going to cover today. So, when it comes to war mounts, what a lot of people do wrong is, okay, so I'm going to get on my war mount here. And now when you get on your war mount, it automatically switches your bar to this setup, okay? This is the horse setup. You could actually switch between with that little arrow down there. You see that tiny little arrow? There's like a little horse and the little shield and the little sword. I have a guide video I just did about that, guys, talking about how to kind of switch between that and use both if you want to. But really, you should just leave this one just for your horse stuff, okay? But anyway, the first thing to realize with the horse things, including that, I'm going to put this over here with my little emotes. It looks nicer. So the first thing a lot of people get wrong with war mounts is how you're supposed to use them in combat, okay? So a lot of people are like, man, they're so rubber bandy. Oh man, they do this, they do that. Yes, that is true. That is not untrue that they've had rubber band problems in the past and still do. And they're a lot better than they used to be, though. They've updated their speeds, so you can kind of increase their speeds and decrease their speeds at different levels. But what people do wrong is when they're doing combat with war steeds and they're fighting, they usually just do this. They like circle around a target. Let's say, for example, this giant, scary-looking lath bear, and they start doing this, and they start like circling around as the target's like chasing them, right? Like circling around, fighting like this, fighting like this, fighting like this, and like slowing way down, right? Because they're like, oh, I can't hit, so they're like going really slow. Watch, they're going like this, and people are going like swing, swing, and they're hitting, and they're like, why am I not doing lots of damage? Okay, it's because the way they designed the war mounts, they were thinking in the idea of jousting. Do you know what jousting is? Jousting, for a quick history lesson in real life, is when two knights or horseback fighters, usually it was knights, would enter a tournament, and there'd be a fence between them. They have a very long pole with like a shield defending, and they'd both ride on two sides. So one would be riding this way, and the other one would be riding opposite towards, as fast as they could, and their goal was to try to hit the other person off their mount. Okay, it wasn't a sharp stick. It usually had some kind of thing on the end, like a fist or something, and they try to like knock each other off. That was the goal, right? And the horses would be going like full speed on opposite sides of the fence, right? So the idea behind how they did it in LOTRO, now that you have that little history lesson, is their whole goal and design was that you'd be going really fast, you'd run up to something, see the red bar building up as I'm speeding up. Now that red bar is full, you look at if I hover the icon, this little thing pops up and it says, as fury increases, so does the damage and healing done by your skills. 1,000 out of 1,000. When I cast a skill, watch what happens. It consumes that red bar. See, and now it's recharging. See the bar recharging? I'm going to hover it again. See, 450, and if I hover it, reset, it's 800, 1,000, right? So the idea with PvP, sorry, not PvP, but using a war mount in Lord of the Rings Online, so you run up and you slap something with full damage, and then you ride far away, you do a loop way far away from the target, you aim at the target again, recharge up your fury, and then you smack them again. Or you use, trample, where it pushes the target. So you can keep hitting them, right? Look at that. Look how far I just pushed that guy. See, it's kind of cool. So that is the idea. War mounts, they're really fun, okay? They're actually really a great idea. There's not really any other classic MMOs that have ever done a war mount, okay? It's kind of like a Lord of the Rings specific thing, and if others did, Lord of the Rings has just done a really good job with them in general. But there's also a lot of other abilities. I could do a full guide video on the war mount and how their skills work and stuff, but it's pretty self-explanatory. By the time you get to a war mount, you kind of understand how skills work, okay? So, like, this trample effect pushes people. Doesn't do any damage, just pushes people. Barrels through people. They have driving slash, does damage, reduces the enemy's armor. They have a bleed attack. They have a staggering slash, and this is different depending on your class usually. There's some that are generic across the board. This one slows reduces their mitigations and slows them. Rohan's Edge is the one that this one increases damage based on your fervor. Fury, excuse me. And stuff, and then this goading strike makes you do increased damage for 15 seconds, okay? So those are kind of things. And they got like dash, increases your movement speed slightly. And then they have like Pledge of Rohan, increases damage for 10%. Just give you a quick cover. I'm not going to make another video on this later anyway, so I might as well just cover the skills real quick, right? We have Ride for Rohan, increases your crit chance and stuff. This is a toggle skill, so it uses your stuff and you just leave that on. Pledge of Rohan is something you can just cast, and then it's on. And then they also have a couple other spur on. Your next skill direct towards execution. That one, you can actually, it looks you actually could have those on at the same time. That's kind of cool. I didn't realize that. Steel skin. Can you have all of them on at the same time? I guess you can. I did not realize that. Positive thinking increases stuff. So you can have all of your toggle skills. I did not realize that. I haven't used. I must have been an update. I don't remember them doing that back in the day. Like, so you can have them all on. You also have the quick stop, right, where you can kind of do the whole like horsey break thing, and then you have break free, which basically gets you out of a stun or an anti-movement thing. So that's about it. I forgot the green ones you can always have on. You know what I was thinking? I was thinking about the other ones. There's ones called the Discipline of Rohan, which kind of like a more generic setup, and then the Pledge of Rohan, and then there's the Riddermark, and these ones, the Riddermark one of these you can have on the same time. You can. Yeah, you can have that one at the same time. Oh, this one you can. It's this one. This one is an aura. You can have it all the time. But these are your 3 stances that you can only have one on. But technically you can have them all on, and they use your own mana and also your steed's mana, or your war steed's mana. And that's kind of cool. I totally forgot you can have kind of like all of those on. That's pretty cool. So anyway, you can run at someone. So back to the correct use of a war mount. Run straight at someone, smack, damage, right? Same thing. And then you wait for your rage to get up, do a circle back to an enemy, and then smack. Right? That's the idea. It's like jousting. The idea that a lot of people do this and thing where they like do circles. There's a really good point by one of our subscribers. I believe John Hammer was the one who pointed it out. Again, I mention him a lot, but gotta give credit to one of my good subscribers. He was saying, we were talking about this. Basically, you know, people do this, and you don't have your full fervor then. You only have 500 fervor because you're going so slow. You can't get to that 1,000 when you're going this slow. So your damage will be a lot lower. Now, granted, I'm much higher level than this bear, so I one-shot it anyway. But if you were at the right level, 87 or whatever this is, that would be a lot not as good, right? You can hit a lot harder if you're at max speed and you've got your freaking fervor all the way up. Now, casting, see, this also, by the way, Pledge of Rohan instantly gives you 100 of your fervor, which is kind of cool. And yeah, granted, you could run by things and stuff. And you could also be shooting arrows from your horse, of course. But that's just kind of how it works. And again, you might need to slow down to turn around sometimes, especially if you're having a rubber band or a lag or something. But that's, you know, usually it's pretty nice. And again, people are like, oh, it's silly how they kind of strafe sideways. It's mechanics, guys. Like, how else were they gonna do that, right? It's got to be similar to the mechanics of the game itself, and even from a game that's trying to simulate a horse. Overall, the riding in this game looks really nice, and it turns pretty darn smoothly, all things considered, unless of course you're lagging. But I rarely have lag anymore on my end. Yeah, that's about it. So there we go, guys. The War Steed, a quick review. I could do more in-depth things if you'd like. Just leave a comment. But there's a quick little thing. It is different per class. You'll have slightly different skills per class, but the same traits will be the same. And also, it will be different depending on what horse you're using. There's heavy, medium, and light, and that's within the traits. And you can choose right here between which horse, and then there's slight differences in the trait tree. I've never done a video on the trait tree for war mounts. Would you guys like that? You got to leave a comment if you want that. I got to at least have 1 or 2 comments for that, if you guys want that. So, thanks so much. Have a great, wonderful day in Middle-earth. Thank you to my Patreons for their support and my anonymous Royal Guard. And I'll see you guys all in the next episodes of Voice of the Rings. There's a subscribe button. Next episode's up there, and over there is a LOTRO tail. And look at that beautiful view of Rohan back there in the mountains. Gorgeous. All right, guys. Baruch Kazan. Have a great day. Stay happy. See ya.